Okay, to all participants, I would like to ask you to go to the front row so that we can get closer to the main what is it called? Main hall. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone, distinguished guests, respected speakers, colleagues, and participants. Welcome to today's public lecture organized by Commitment at Universitas Islam Internasional Indonesia, titled Navigating Climate Change Policy in Indonesia, the Role of Central and Local Government in Policy Synergy for Mitigations, Adaptations, and the Challenges of Loss and Damage. It is a great pleasure to welcome all of you in this place to this important discussions on climate change policy and Indonesia's pathway toward a responsive and sustainable future. Today, we are honored to have with us Bapak Irawan Asaad, PhD, the Director of Climate Change Mitigations, Ministry of Environment or Environmental Control Agency of the Republic of Indonesia. On behalf of the committee and organizer, we would like to express our sincere gratitude for your presence and participation. So before we begin, please allow me to briefly guide you through today's agenda. First, we will start with the commitment introductions, followed by the presentations of commitment field visit results, and the main will be followed as well by the main lecture session by our distinguished speaker, Bapak Irawan Asaad. And after that, we will have a Q&A sessions, and then we will end the sessions by photo groups. So without a further ado, let us begin today's program. To begin our sessions, I would like to invite the representative of Commitment to deliver the commitment introductions to Pak Siro as lead political scientist at Commitment. The time and floor are yours.
First of all, thank you very much for attending this session. We call ourselves as Commitment. Actually, this is Indonesian name, Kerangka Ekonomi untuk Indonesia Adaptif Iklim menuju emisi nol bersih. So we call it Commitment. Or in English, this is economic framework for climate adaptive Indonesia toward net zero emissions. So that's what Commitment stands for. So we are very pleased today to have not only to present not only what we call as policy-oriented research, but also to have policy dialogue with policymakers. We are very honored to have Dr. Irawan Asaad, Director of Climate Change Resource Mobilization at the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Indonesia, to give us a lecture entitled Navigating Climate Change Policy in Indonesia, the Role of Central and Local Government in Policy Synergy for Mitigation, Adaptation, and the Challenges of Loss and Damage. we believe that this issue, this lecture will update us not only on the challenges that Indonesia is facing right now in dealing with climate change, but also what the government have done so far in dealing with the problems. But before the lecture, please allow us from the commitment to update you or introduce a little bit about who we are and what we have done so far. There are a couple of issues that drove us to build this initiative. Number one is we believe that natural disasters, physical risks now actually are in front of our doors. The intensity and the frequency of flood, heat have been increasing so far. At the same time, countries across the world, including us and the global south, we also have pressure for addressing the rise of not only sea level but also the weather. Now it becomes hotter and hotter, and the pressure to reduce the emissions will be affecting us very significantly in many aspects, not only in our daily life but also in terms of economic development, in terms of energy transition, and so on. So, thinking about this problem and challenges, we from the Faculty of Social Sciences as well as the Faculty of Economic and Business, we would like to develop a common platform and initiative how we from the academic community might contribute for the government to deal with this problem. So we call this commitment. There are three things that we are conducting with this initiative. Number one, we develop macroeconomic framework and fiscal framework, how the government could be more responsive toward climate change. Number two, we would like to strengthen the capacity of local government as well as government at the national level in order to deal with the climate change, not only by providing the framework but also new knowledge, what happened on the ground and how to deal with this issue. And finally, we would like to promote collaboration between different stakeholders, how to deal with the climate change and the problem associated with the climate change. So in order to achieve these three goals, we do several things. Other than doing research, we also do modeling as well as policy dialogue with policymakers. That's one of the reasons why we invite Irawan Asaad to give us a lecture in order for us to know closer how the government design the policy. So other than doing research, we also have a workshop, seminar, we also have a podcast disseminating what we have done to public community. Additionally, we also have new initiative we call as STARA. So as you know that other than fiscal and macroeconomic framework, we also deal with the energy transition. So this is the way we would like to promote energy transition at the local level from the economic perspective. So we hope that with this initiative we promote not only policy-oriented research, but also we promote policy dialogue with different stakeholders at the national and at the local level. So we hope that this will be one of the initiatives. And in order to go further into what we have done, I would like later on we will hear from our colleague Zidan what we have done so far, especially from the policy side about the climate adaptation. I think that's all from me. Happy discussing with Dr. Irawan, and thank you once again. Thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Suro, for introducing commitment to all of us. And next we will proceed to the presentations of commitment field visit results by Bapak Zidan as a researcher at Commitment. For Pak Zidan, time and floor is yours.
Thank you everyone, selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, it's such my honor to be present in here, especially what we do, especially at the Commitment. So I would like to say thank you Pak Siro for explaining the commitment introduction, and then Pak Irawan Asaad, PhD, as a guest in our public lecture today. So basically, I will only talk in short 10 minutes, talking about what we do, especially in the commitment. In the last few months, we already do, there are 2 things, especially in fieldwork research, and then we try to do a computational analysis. We are doing some AI do research, especially in RPGMD. Okay, there are okay, especially in the last few months, we do field trip for research field, especially in Pantura North Coast area. What we found that there are some point interesting, but the problem is they are disconnected between a central government and then the subnational government. That we think that as a think tank, we can collaboration with the government to solve this problem. So there are several problems, especially how there are rich people can make their house more higher, but those people who cannot afford their home, the possible is they can stay in that home when the sea raising level is more tighter. And then in the map, we found there are several problems that there are ground drops around 20 and 50 centimeter per year, driven by groundwater extraction and heavy truck vibration. So in the lastly, we also doing interview within a chairman local in a fisherman, especially in Semarang, that they are living. I forgot how old year is they. I think 72, but they are 52 years old. They are staying in the sea. That they realize this year, especially in 2025, is the hardest year. They come to sea for taking some fishing. They assume that that's problem because it's climate change. So we see that it's a biggest problem in here. Okay, in the last few months, especially 2 months ago, we are coming to East Borneo, especially in PPU and Kukar. What we found in PPU problem, there are coastal abrasion eating into the land. Since 2016, the eastern shoreline has retreated significantly. Some stretch lost hundreds of meters, prolonged dry spells and water scarcity now affect farming household. Dry season are more frequent inland. However, in Kukar area, the problem was persist also. Mahakam Delta, especially the site in the Mahakam River, as compounding stress. Basically, that's the problem. How Kukar does not affect about the tidal flood and drop also, because they are surrounding by the Mahakam Delta. But there are one villager we found in East Borneo, what they call as Lung Anai. They can adapt. So what we call as community adaptation in motion, because the farmer evolve. They evolve from the traditional rice, and they try to transition to building some packaged cocoa that they call as Rumah Coklat Lung Anai. And then they have winning some achievement based on the government. Okay, that's the thing that we want to talk about today. But we see that in that case, for 4 study case that we are doing in the last few months in commitment, we see and we have a field more depth. But we also realize that we cannot explain the all of subnational area in Indonesia. So what we do is we try to explain what topic as the climate change in any other region and any other subnational in Indonesia. Okay, for that case, we try to scan 60 RPGMD or regional plan medium development by the subnational, and I think that's the reasonable that we can do about, because we try to zoom out to see that how the pattern are visible, to see the model problem of the climate change in this area. So we are doing 2 topic modeling. to mapping some climate-related issue across region. So imagine that there are one RPJMD already give around 500 pages, and we do some extract to 60. So the best things is we try to customize the LLME, or large language model. So we try, and then we analyze. So it helps. It maybe helps to researcher to explain all of the problem in climate change, especially for policy choice to the subnational government. So we realize because the fine fields cannot scale, these 4 study case cannot scale and cannot explain everything. And then we also believe that the RPJMD can be as a lens to see what special problem that exists. And then about the district, we have the data for RPJMD 16 across 7 regions. Sampling spans Sumatra, Java, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Bali, and Nusa Tenggara, and Papua, and 2 climate types, monsoon and equatorial. Okay, for methodology speaking, we try to build 5 pipeline. Basically, from research design, we are taking some framework from IPCC AR6 for research design and building some research question across 7 regions, and then try to build some a pipeline like corpus assembly, like how many paragraph, how many character, how many word, and how we do embedded the data that will be explained for the pattern in climate related. And then we are doing climate modeling or topic modeling. We try to combine, they are methodologically from Python, we call as bear topic, try to a modeling across a paragraph, each paragraph, into a model, into one section from the model of climate related issue. And then we justify with LLM tagging. So basically we try to create some coding to explain, does is a problem of climate or not. And then we try to build some comparative visualize for 60 region in our analysis. So that's a short from our framework. Like in physical hazard, there are floods, tidal flooding, abrasion, subsidence, and driver deforestation, mining, and so on for ecosystem also. And then that's the result of our analysis in so far. So as we can see that there are several area closely sharp to ecosystem and also physical hazard that we can see that already RPJMD are mapping the climate related issue. But the question is, do they realize it's a problem of climate related issue? So this profile shape our bridging to the radar profile tell us. So like for example that Pekalongan is the outlier. Only the Pekalongan is containing the most paragraph of tidal flooding and also ROP. So basically they realize the ROP is the biggest problem in Pekalongan. And then that's the, if we move on, because the before profile tell us about the Borneo and also the Java, that's the signature issue from Eastern Indonesia. As we can see that there are a variety of typology about modeling climate related issue. Basically, as we can see that like a district from Halmahera Tengah, that the majority of the problem is the mining. But then there were in Kabupaten Sorong, agriculture and food security is the problem. And then lastly, as we can see that the climate related issue in Toraja Utara is environmental carrying capacity and so on within energy and renewable transition. Okay, so lastly, what we can reveal or what we can study about the 60 RPJMD and also our steady case reveals. So the water scarcity replace the flooding as dominant hazard. Second is the infrastructure gaps amplify every shocks, and the lastly is special case Halmahera Tengah. So we can study that. For their analysis, in Halmahera Tengah, there are a gold mining, a nickel mining, and so on that the government of subnational realized as a climate-related problem that the question is, can we solve together as a policymaker, as a researcher, and also a government in subnational. I think that's all for short explanation for me, what we're doing in commitment, at least in the last few months. I give my vote to Pak Irawan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Bapak Zidan, as a researcher at Commitment UIIII. So, distinguished guests and participants, we have now arrived at the main sessions of today's public lecture. It is my honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Bapak Irawan Asaad. Then I will briefly talk about your biography, Pak. Mr. Irawan Asaad, ST, MSc, PhD, currently serves as Director of Climate Change Resource Mobilization at the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Indonesia, a position he has held since July 2025. In this role, he leads the formulation of cross-sectoral financing strategies for climate change control and serves as Indonesia's national focal point for international climate negotiations, and directly relevant to today's discussions on policy synergy for mitigations, adaptations, and loss and damage. His career trajectory spans all three pillars of climate policy we will explore today. He previously served as Director of Climate Change Mitigations from February to July 2025 and Director of Climate Change Adaptation from August 2024 to February 2025. Giving him a rare hands-on experience across the full breadth of Indonesia's national climate governance architecture. On the international stage, Mr. Irawan has represented Indonesia at COP26 in Glasgow in 2021 and COP25 in Madrid 2019. And he has led the Indonesian delegations at multiple IPCC plenary sessions, including the 6th Assessment Report on Impacts, Adaptation and Vulnerability 2022 and the Special Report on the Oceans and Cryosphere in a Changing Climate 2019, both foundational to the global loss and damage debate. Academically, he holds a bachelor degree from Hasanuddin University in Sulawesi, a master degree from ITC Enschede, the Netherlands, 2019, and a doctorate from the University of Auckland, New Zealand in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Irawan Asaad, ST, MSc, PhD. To Bapak Irawan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang. Do I have to speak in Bahasa or speak in English? In English? You have to speak in Bahasa then. How long you been in here, Pak? Sudah berapa lama di sini? 1 year. How many Bahasa that you can speak? Apa kabar? Good. Selamat pagi dan nasi goreng. Yeah? That's the most important thing that you have to learn from Bahasa. Ya, makasih. Okay, Pak Sirajuddin, thank you for the invitation. Pak Zidan, terima kasih atas undangannya. Ladies and gentlemen, because you are now in the master degree course, isn't it? So I'm going to make the discussion more, how do you call it, more broader and more contextual than the previous study. Because the previous studies, we learn about the detail, the very detailed part, and that's very fine research. Yeah. So I will speak now on about the climate change. Why it is important? Why we have to learn about climate change? Where you come from, sir? Gambia. Gambia. You? Nigeria. You, sir? Ghana. Bapak? Indonesia. Where you come from? Pakistan. So, kalau mas dari Indonesia kan? So, all of our country in the world experience the climate change. Where's the flickers. Yeah, there's the outline. It's going to be roughly around 300 pages. So, stay with me. We will have talk until midnight. Because it is my passion to talk about climate change, because we experience it every day. Yeah. So I will talk about the science. What is this? Like a climate change 101. We have to learn from the basic. so you understand the concept. Because if you're master degree, you have to understand the basic idea, so you can speak in multiple aspects. Yeah. So I will tell you about the climate change, the definition, the schematic, the main sources until the impact, and after that I will talk about the strategy, how Indonesia implement the framework, how the adaptation aspects. Yeah. And the last two part is about the convention. Yeah, the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and then the role of academics, because we are now in the campus. It's really nice campus, Pak. Thank you for inviting me to come here. Although my house is not really far from here, it's about 10 kilometers, but it's my first time to come to this area. It's really nice campus, and I hope that you enjoy this campus. How many years did you study, Bu? 2 years, no? Now this is the first year or second years? The second year, so you almost finished. Oh, ahlan wa sahlan then. You're going back to Pakistan. Is Islamabad? Ah, Islamabad, lovely city. Because there is a very nice discussion going on in Islamabad right now. Yeah, how to make a peace between U.S. and Iraq. Okay, I suppose that's the one of the very interconnected with climate change. Okay, so the science of climate change. Why it is important? In early 90s, yeah, every big newspapers talk about climate change. Although we know that since 1690 there is a book written by Charles Carlton. Yeah, they call it Silent Spring. That's the most prominent book on environmental. But in 90s, all of these big magazines have a subject with climate change. Yeah, it's become global discourses. What is climate change? What is it the real threat for us? And or it's too late for us to do nothing, to do anything, because it impacts all of us. So what about Indonesia? Why it is very important for Indonesia? We are archipelagic states, 17,582 islands. Yeah, 90% are small islands, and they are impacted by climate change. Sea level rise, Pak Zidan stated before, in the northern part of Java, Pekalongan, Pak, itu tenggelam. Ya, kalau teman-teman, sorry, I'll speak. If you, in the northern part of Jakarta, and not in Depok. Depok is high ground, or Bogor, no. But for in northern part, the Cengkareng di sana is, yeah. Or your country in Nigeria, you feel the drought, isn't it? Or in Indonesia as well, because we experience this one. Yeah, the impact of climate change happens now. It is in the front of our doors. Now in Jakarta, you can see that in every afternoon there is a high rain, monsoon rain. Now in June, May, it should be not like this one. Previously, in Indonesia, the rainy season will be on the October, November, December. But now it's changing the season. So that's one of the example. Previously, this area Depok is quite chilly in the morning, but now it's the same thing, increasing heat. Yeah, there's a terrestrial ecosystem degraded, wildfires. Yeah, loss of the city, marine ecosystem degraded, bleaching, coral bleaching. Yeah. Ocean acidification, where the rising of pH, acidic content in the seawater, or food scarcity. Number of countries experience this one, including our country, Indonesia. There are 282 million people that need to be fed every day. Itulah makanya ada MBG. Yeah. If you experience, I mentioned before that there is an increase in temperature, 0.03 per year. It is not far, only 0.30. But you can imagine people that experiencing the COVID one. When you are in the COVID, if your temperature increase 1 degree, you will be in the hospital because you got COVID. And now, in Indonesia, 80% of our of the disasters are from the hydrometeorological disasters. Just this year, early this year, in northern part of Sumatra, there is a cyclone, tropical cyclone of Senyar. We never had any like this one, because Indonesia is not part of the routing of the cyclone. But now we experience it, yeah, in Central Java and a number of places. Yeah. So itu. It's just sorry. That's it's right. Where is the gimana naiknya nih? Yeah. So that's Indonesia with climate change. Now what is the definition of that? This is the clear definition from the Universitas. I quote it from the Universitas that, yeah, this attribute directly or indirectly to human activities that alter the composition of global atmospheres. Yeah. So human activities, deforestation, land degradation, the consumption of fossil fuels, and etc., increasing the temperature in the atmospheres. If you see the schematic of greenhouse gas, so basically our Earth, they have like a blanket of greenhouse gases. That's the blanket that make us live in this Earth. If this blanket is gone, we cannot live in this world. It's like the same with Mars. They are very hot to live. Or if the blanket is too thick, we also cannot live because it's like Mars, Venus, yeah, because the temperature is very cold. The normal temperature is like 80 to 22. That's the normal temperature that we live. But some area is already achieve 40 degrees, or some area is very chilly. This blanket, the greenhouse gas, yeah, is in the natural area. They are, how do you call it? They are natural for us. But if human activities increase the number or the volume of greenhouse gas in our atmospheres, that increase, we call that one global warming, some of that. And global warming impacted all of that activities before. This is the greenhouse gases from carbon dioxide, the methane, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases, F gases. So, yeah, if you see the main sources, most of them are fossil fuel combustion for the CO2, agriculture for the methane and waste management, yeah, for the fluorinated gases, the air conditions, the using of hydrofluorocarbon in our air condition. That's, yeah, 3-4 major greenhouse gases that experience in the atmospheres. Now we're coming to, is it real? Based on in the data, you can see that in the last 1850 to 2020, there is a rise of the temperatures, more than 1.1, 1.2 degrees compared to before that. And it's the real data that we use to prove that there is an increasing in the trend of the temperature in the world. Some area now, based on the latest report, 1.4 degree Celsius increase in average. Some area achieve until 2 degrees. So, but some area is also 0.8. But in average, 1.4. So we almost reach the tipping point of no turning back 1.5 degrees. Yeah, and this is the data. This is the real data exposed that one. So we conduct all of the scientists in the world on climate change. There is an IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, one of the kind panel that involve scientists and academia and the government or policymaker to discuss about the climate change. And this IPCC, one of the agencies that they got Nobel laureate. It's very cool agencies, and they calculate or they make a projection of all of this climate change. And all of the projection, yeah, they achieve that if we do nothing, so the temperature will rise. Yeah. So in the low scenario, it's 1.5 degrees, but in the high scenario, it's going to be up until 3 degrees Celsius. And it's consistent with all of the scenarios. Whatever scenario that you use, in the current rate of the projection, is going to be the same result, that we are reach more than 1.5 degrees. Now, what is the impact for ecosystems and human systems worldwide? In the left panel, yeah, I use the impacts on water scarcity and food production. For the water scarcity, some area increase, some area decrease. Yeah. But for agriculture, must be -1. Yeah. In the middle part, impact on health and well-being, all of the minus, they impacted negatively. And also in the impacts on climate and cities, yeah, and settlements and infrastructures. Yeah. In all of the area, in Africa, Asia, until the mountain regions, they are impacted by climate change. Yeah. The more, the darker the colors, the more confidential level. Semakin confidence datanya, itu maksudnya. Yeah. What about Indonesia? This Indonesian data set that we produced just this year, that impact of climate change in the multi sectors, from food security. Yeah, the food security in Indonesia, rice productivity will how do you call it? Will decrease 0.02% per year for rice. Yeah, for water, the same scenario. Some areas reduced until 34%. It's like if you see the Borneo part, yeah, or 55% for Java. Jadi there is a decrease in water in the health system, yeah, yeah, because the climate change impact for example, the malaria or DBD or diarrhea. I don't know how to spell in English. Diarrhea, yeah, some diarrhea, yeah, because he is native in English, so yeah, some of them say, yeah, this diarrhea, malaria, dengue, and etc. Yeah, even for a breastfeeding woman, impacted from this health perspective. For the energy sector also impacted. Yeah. It is so simple if in Indonesia, like Indonesia, that if there is a high rainy season, so they will black out because our energy infrastructure cannot handle this heavy rain. I think it's the same with your country. Yeah. Now, in the ecosystems, 50% of our mangroves is degraded. 90% of our critical endangered mangrove. Yeah. On disasters, as like I mentioned before, there is an increase. Yeah, flood, more than 1,000 flood in every year in Indonesia, including fishery catch, biodiversity, etc. So that's the impact in multi sectors impact. So seperti Pak Zidan said before, yeah. You see, you have an example from Kutai Kartanegara, Java, and a number of places. that yeah, in the global Indonesian aspects, this the similar part. Thank you for researching in the detailed part, so we can understand, and we can make like a policies from the provincial level to the district level, so we can have like more broad policies for that. Itu. So that's the climate change 101. So I move to the next. Do you have any questions before I move to the next? Before I move to the next aspect or the next agenda. It's going to be very hard in the next one. Yeah. Yeah, the strategy and the policies. How Indonesia cope with this condition? Because yeah, we are impacted by that one. We are a country that's prone by climate change, and now how we deal with that? I saw it's very small one, but we can share you the slides, so you can easily read one by one of the box. Yeah. So the global goal targets of the Paris Agreement, from the keeping the temperatures below. So the aiming of Paris Agreement is below 2 degrees Celsius, but we're aiming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Yeah. Yeah. Indonesia have like a document, they call it long-term strategies, low carbon climate resilience 2050, where Indonesia would like to achieve net zero before 2050, 2060 or sooner. That's our commitment to the world, that we would like to achieve net zero. Terima kasih ke teman-teman komitmen, Pak, because you have a very nice program, yeah? The commitment that there's like a think tank to support Indonesia and how to achieve the target of net zero before 2060 or so. Yeah, because we have this document, long-term strategies, low carbon climate resilience. These documents contain information on how Indonesia, in every sectors, yeah, they have a target, specific target for all of the sectors. In the other part, we also have the NDCs. NDCs is national determined commitment, contribution. So Indonesia have like a target or commitment to the world that we would like to achieve this set of target before 2030. Because climate change, you cannot boundaries within the administration part. It is a global. This is the global issues, and you have to tackle it globally. Although your action is in the local level, but in the world, you have to talk with each other. We have to negotiate with different countries in order to achieve your target. So Indonesia pledged that in our NDCs, the target is 21.89% conditionally, or until 43.22% by 2030. It is for 5 years from now, so we have to achieve that one. And there are 5 sectoral targets: the forestry, yeah, energy, agriculture, industry, the IPPU, and waste. That's in the mitigation aspect. From the adaptation aspect, yeah, there's in food security, water, health, ecosystem, yeah, energy, and marine and fisheries. So that's the adaptation aspect. So what are the means of implementation? We need to support climate finance, yeah, technology and capacity building. I think that's one of the example of the capacity building that we conduct today. It's like this building, this university, this campus. It's a part of the climate capacity building program. We like to improve our capacities in dealing with environmental problems. Yeah. What are the instruments? I will explain this one later. And yeah, there's a number of that. And how to integrate it into national and sectoral development plans, the RPJMD. That's the one that explained by Pak Sidan before. Okay. This slide explains about the NDC target, the one that I mentioned before on the national determined contribution. So Indonesia is a part of the countries that ratified the UNFCCC. We pledge to global that we would like to achieve this one. How to achieve that one? by using this 31.90% target until 42.3 to target. How to achieve that? So we have priority areas, as I mentioned before, and then we have the pathways to achieve all of the target. Now, this is an example how to achieve the target. So because I mentioned before on the sectoral level, there is some forest and other land use. This is one of the largest emitter previously, and also one of the largest serapan? Carbon sink, sequestration, sequestration. Because Indonesia is, I think we are one of the largest tropical forests in the world. Brazil, Congo, and Indonesia. And the forest sector is one of that. The second part is the energy. Energy as well, they are the largest emitter. Waste, limbah, IPP is agriculture. If you see the target from the photo, the target from the photo is reduction of deforestation. Every year we would like to reduce 0.3 million hectare per year of the deforestation, and we would like to achieve this one before 2030. That's why there is a document called Net Zero 2030, Follow Netting 2030, developed by the forestry sectors. Yeah. This is the inventory report, and how to read how much Indonesia achieved from all of the activities. The blue bar is the condition of the status of our greenhouse gases until 2040. The red one, the BAO is business as usual scenario. The CM1, the one that I mentioned before, 39.8 degrees percent, and the CM2 is 43%. So on the last 3 years, we can achieve the CM2 one. But there are a number of years, our emission is highly rose up, exceeded the business as usual. In the 2015, 2019. Why? Because in that time there is wildfires in Indonesia, kebakaran hutan, Pak. Forest fire. 2015, Indonesia got hit by largest forest fires in the world. 2015, 2019. We hope that this year is not. We are prepared for that because they call it El Nino, Godzilla El Nino this year. So we are prepared for that. And I hope not. Because in that time, people in Sumatra is very suffering for the haze. Even our neighboring countries, we export the haze. We export haze from Indonesia to Singapore and to Malaysia. But we never export the haze to Jakarta. So we export that one from Borneo and Sumatra, we export the haze. But it is very sad in that time. So that's why the emission is very high in the year. But we manage it. It's been 5 years. There is no big major or major forest fires in Indonesia. That's the condition. If we continue this trend, so we can achieve our target by 2030. But if not, we fail that one. There's only 2 options for that. It's mana dia? There is a graphs on the left side, but things miss. So this is the second NDC. As I mentioned before, there's an enhanced NDC, and there is a new updated one. We call it second NDC. We just submitted on 2025 last year. So in this new scenario, we use the reference years, 2019. Why we use 2019 reference years? Because this is the complete years of emission before COVID. So all of the world using this 2019 reference years. Otherwise, they are not. They didn't give us a complete picture of the emission, because when the COVID hit the world, the emission is very low. Yeah. So we use the 2019 reference years. We added new sectors. New sectors, now we include the marine or blue carbon. And then there is a number of activities. There is scenario alignment. We align our scenario with Paris Agreement. And also there's an energy and reporting updates for that. Yeah. So this is the scenario and projection. The left panel it is the business as usual. If you conduct using our energy, our activities, or there is no mitigation action, so the condition will be like this one on the left side. Yeah. The emissions still continue until 2060. But if you conduct number of scenario, we're using that economic growth 6%, yeah, or until 6.7% in 2035. Now it's about 5.6 according to the new information from the Minister of Economic. So if we use in that scenario that Indonesia improve their economic growth to 6%, they will be in the middle part. But if we use high scenario, LCCP high scenario, that the economic growth until 8% in 2029, so the status of our emission will be like in the right hand panel, because the more you boost your economic, your growth, the emission must be very high, especially for the developing countries. Yeah, that's the rule of thumb in this scenario. Now, so based on that second in this scenario, there is we conduct there are 113 parties globally conduct the synthesis, and we found that our scenario, our emission will be lower 12% in compared to 2019. But if there is no Paris Agreement, if everybody or every country conduct their own business as usual, so they will be increased 20 to 48% of their emissions. Yeah, that's the projection that we use to calculate are we as a global community would like to achieve the red one or the blue one. And you can see the dip. There is a dip on the black graphs. That's the COVID one. It's very deep into 2019, 2021, something like that. Yeah. So this is our choice now, the country choice. Would you like to achieve that one or not? Itu Pak. So that's the second part of my presentation. So yeah, it depends on us. It depends on us how to choose, how to react, and how to actively involve within this kind of activities. Itu Pak. Nah, sekarang that's the mitigation part. Now I would like to discuss on the adaptation part. There is a program, they call it PROCLIM, Program Community-Based Climate Action. Yeah, this is a program nationally since 2018 become a national programs. All of the communities that they involved in the climate change action, they can participate within this program. It's very nice program, yeah. Even that people from the university or people from the village, they would like to they would like to participate in the climate action program, they can how do you call it? They can get support from the government. So the graph in the right hand below, right below, is shows the graphs of the people that participate. So there are a number of activities for that, yeah, including how people adapt with the flood or risk management, or how people adapt with disease prevention, something like that. That's the program one. Now, as I mentioned before, that this with climate change should be internationally cooperated. Otherwise, it's not going to work. We can't do it by yourself. We can't do it by our country or by region. It should be holistically or collaboratively working together. In UNFCCC, International Framework Convention on Climate Change, there are 98 countries ratified the agreement. So every year we conduct the COP, the Conference of Parties. I think this is one of the convention that every year people meeting twice, Pak. 2 kali kita ketemu setiap tahun. Hanya untuk, it's only to discuss the climate change. Yeah. Do we have to stop because azan, Pak? So I have to stop because azan. Saya juga butuh minum, Pak. Yeah. So, Indonesian journey in the journey and global climate change convention since 1992, the Rio Earth Summit, yeah, when 3 Earth convention, the UNFCCC, the CBD, Convention of Biodiversity, and Convention of Desertifications, working together to conduct this Earth Summit since 1992. And then this lead to the, that one lead to the adoption of Rio Convention in 1994. In Indonesia,
Thank you so much, Bapak Asad, for the insightful presentations. The last sentence is very important, that we only have one Earth, so we need to take care of it. And that is why we have a climate change study program here, Pak Asad. And we will now proceed to the question and answer sessions. I think we will open 3 questions first, Pak Asad, and then we will see what happens next. Okay? 1, 2. Okay, I'll the center, left, and right. 1, 1. Yeah. Go, Abdullah and Mas and yes, you. Naila, sorry.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time and as well as for your presentation. I'm Naila Jamil, and I'm from Pakistan. Currently, I'm student of master student in public policy, specializing in climate change. And your presentation was quite related to my thesis, and my thesis is about integration of economic impacts of sea level rise into NDC's future cycles for Indonesia. So while I was working on my thesis, I analyzed all of 5 Indonesian NDCs that are starting from intended 2015 to the latest one, the second NDC for 2025. And in every single version, sea level rise appears only in adaptation, not in mitigation. And it seems like these 2 pillars are quite or completely separated from each other. Because of this, sea level rise is only an adaptation, and NDC never calculates how much economic damages in terms of how much GDP loss, how much coastal flooding, that Indonesia's emission reduction will actually avoid. So, and also sea level rise depends on cumulative emission. That's the fact. Like, it's not only Indonesia that's emitting and the sea level rise is rising. It's the global emission that results in sea level rise. So even if Indonesia cuts its emissions aggressively or significantly, the NDC does not explain how that translates into less damages for Indonesia. And based on this, my question is, when Ministry of Environment goes to Ministry of Finance, so to request budget for mitigation activities in terms of reducing emission from forestry or energy or waste sectors, so what the justification do you see? And specifically, if I ask, do you tell the Ministry of Finance that Indonesia has a global fairness obligation? We are doing our fair share as a part of international community? Or do you have a separate domestic economic justification, like that mitigation targets will reduce future coastal damages, or protect infrastructure and save household income for Indonesia from different regions? And again, without calculation of avoided economic damages in NDCs, and without effort sharing logic, linking Indonesia's actions to global sea level rise outcome, what actual benefit for Indonesian citizens do you present to the Ministry of Finance to justify the budget for the request? So I'm just trying to understand, like, whether mitigation sections are written primarily for international audience under Paris Agreement, or whether it's also function as a domestic policy tool for budget negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. I'm going to talk about Indonesia's third NDC. Even though the NDC has spelled out a lot of ambitions, because NDC is mostly consisted of ambitions, but according to the climate action tracker, even with those ambitions, the experts said that Indonesia's 2035 climate pledge improved transparency but fails to raise real ambition. Under its unconditional target, emissions are set to keep rising for decades, peaking only around 2050 at more than twice today's levels. The target is overachieved with currently implemented policies. Even the conditional targets depends on steep emissions reductions after 2035 to reach net zero by 2060. These reductions are unlikely to occur without credible policies, proper implementations, and international supports. So Indonesia's overall rating remains critically insufficient. That's on the other parts. Coming back to the main issue, this, in order to achieve that, net zero by 2060, Indonesia requires 7,552 trillion Indonesia rupiah to be able to achieve net zero by 2060. And I'm currently doing a research on JATPs, Indonesia's JATP, which is the largest climate finance ever in the history of the world, with $20 billion, which has identified 400 key projects toward that target. So, with all this analysis and verdicts by experts at Climate Action Tracker, and the amount of more than $7,000 trillion that Indonesia needs to achieve that net zero, with that rating of critically insufficient, are we expecting another NDC that is at least aligned to that path? That's one question. And the second question, is that even achievable? Can Indonesia actually achieve it, net zero 2030, even with that amount of more than 7,000 trillion? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the great presentation. It's very, insight me, make me like make navigating climate change in policy Indonesia is very great. As we see in the presentation, it's very very beautiful agenda that Indonesia have in the 2030 and beyond. So we saw that the navigating climate change is always about the negotiating for COP26, COP27, and all is about the negotiating. The debate over loss and damage is a central contestation in international climates, as my research is about to make a climate objective, especially in Sumatra, that evolving from effort to understand climate impact to push for institutional recognitions as a third pillar of climate action alongside mitigation and adaptation. And now we have interconnected fight that I see from finance, climate, and climate litigation. So what is the position of Indonesia right now? I mean, the loss and damage have same pillars with mitigation or adaptations, or the loss and damage have another pillars. It stands one alone. And then how much Indonesia can calculate loss and damage? Because you know that this UN convention like climate change have many negotiation about the climate finance. Maybe it's different from Indonesia to another country. So how much is about loss, how much is about damage if the climate change is occur in Indonesia? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak. Thank you for the questions. On first about the how much adaptation funding that we need. Yeah, how much adaptation funding that we need to cover our NDCs. Yeah. Thank you for studying our intended NDC until the second NDC. I was involved on developing the second NDC, the last one, but because when the first one, I'm not yet in, not yet in the ministries. I'm still student in that time. But I understand. I thank you for your research. And please, after you finish your thesis, please send it to us so we can learn from your thesis on how to achieve Indonesian. Because there's a gaps, as you mentioned before. There is a gaps in our finance. Every country have their own gaps, but Indonesia is quite large, the gaps. Yeah, in 2030, and it is not only fulfill our NDC's target, but also there is a difference between mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation part of the climate change is far more understandable than the complexities of adaptation. It is easy for me to calculate, yeah? It is easy for me to calculate the impact of climate change on the energy sectors compared to the health sectors. Because the health sectors that related to the adaptation is part of the how people can cope with the impact of climate change. Are they adapted? Are they resilient to that? Yeah. And if you see the figure, if you talk about the mitigation part, everybody talk about the ton, the indicator is ton CO2 equivalent. There is no single indicator for adaptation. Now we are negotiating, we call it global goal in adaptation, how to have a single indicator for adaptation, because there is different between health, energy, yeah, ecosystem, and etc. I was involved in the discussion. There are 4,000 indicators for adaptation. And now, in the last scope, now there's 56. We would like to develop it until similar to SDGs, because the SDGs, they have indicator. But adaptation, not until now. So that's why we have difficulties to single out how much money that we need for the adaptation. All of our NDCs, there is almost none, explaining the gaps of financing, especially financing that we need for the adaptation. Most of them are only for mitigation. So thank you for your research, and I hope that we can, if you have a time, we can set up like a Zoom meeting or something like that, so we can understand, we can discuss with you how to, yeah, how you achieve your target, how you explore that one, because we also need that one. Yeah, itu yang pertama. Yeah. So the second questions on, yeah, the global sea level rise. I'm studying sea level rise when I was in a master degree, but not for human, for sea turtles. Sea turtles. So I'm calculating how, because I'm an ecologist by training, how much how do you call that? The nesting beach of the turtle that will be impacted by sea level rise if I modeling the increase of the sea level 10%, 20% to 30%. I'm conducting in Greece, in Greece, Crete Island in Greece. But for human, in Indonesia, it's very simple. There are 17,508 small islands in Indonesia. There are more than 60% of our population live within 10 kilometers from the coastal area. So you can imagine 280 million people, 60% that are living in that one. It's easy for us to calculate how much impact that will be by Indonesia if the temperature, the sea level rise increase. I know that it's very hard because sea level is not only related to the land subsidence, but it also melting ice in the polar region. Yeah, so they are very complex system that there is an expanding of the volume of the water because of the heat. Because seawater is from calcium NaCl, natrium chloride. They are salt, and if they are hit by, they are got warmer, they are expanded. So that's why some of the areas will increase. Yeah. So there are a number of complex systems in that. But in Indonesia, there is a number of activities that are now proposed to protecting our coastal area that will be impacted by sea level. There is a proposal for giant seawall in northern part of Java, or there is a proposal for conducting green, how do you call that? The penanaman mangrove. green restoration in all our coastal areas. So there are a number of activities that related to that. But yeah, I hope that all of the activities will work. Yeah, there are a number of examples of the countries that they can cope with the climate change. One is Netherlands. Netherlands is one of the very low-lying countries in the world. Yeah, 60% of the air is below sea level, and they managed to. Dutch people managed to cope with that. They can live with the increasing sea level. Yeah, by building a dikes and number of activities. Yeah, and they are very good in hydrological part. Yeah, so that's the reality that we will face for the sea level rise. I hope that we can discuss it later if you like to more detail one. Same Abdullah. Yeah, I know that it's hard to achieve. 7,000 trillion rupiahs is very big money. Yeah, but we have to. We have no option. Do we have an option for that? No, we have no option. Indonesian people have to face that one. Although we need thousands of US dollars that we have to. Otherwise, as I mentioned before, we don't have any plan B for the climate change. We don't have any another Earth. I only have one house here in Depok, so I cannot move to everywhere. Yeah, so we will face it. Yeah, I know the target is hard to achieve, but based on our calculation, because we use the data, we calculate it. Is it achievable? So that's why in my previous slides, there is a scenario for that. Yeah, as a scientist, we propose a scenario to the policymaker. This is the scenario based on the data that we use. Please use it if you would like to develop the development plan. If you follow this scenario, so you can achieve your target. But if it is not, sorry for that. Yeah. So that's why we develop the scenario for that one, and we prepare for the worst scenario. Itu. So yeah, this one is quite challenging, but we have to face it. We have to face it. You have to give an option to the government, to the policymaker, to the community. That this is the option that you can choose in order to deal with this climate change impact. Itu. That's my answer, sir. And the third one is, so mitigation, adaptation, and loss and damage, they are interconnected, Pak. The mitigation aspect is come before. Yeah, we discussed the mitigation aspect long before we realized that there is another aspect that we have to conduct, the adaptation part. You cannot conduct only mitigation aspect. Yeah, I know that it's very as I mentioned before, conducting program related to mitigation is easier than conducting program related to adaptation. Because adaptation will be like a change behavior of the people, something like that. But if, for example, the mitigation program is conducting, we just need to planting 10 million trees. If you have money, you have people, you can planting the trees. But if you like to change the people behaviors to adapt with the climate change, there are a number of aspects that we need to conduct. Yeah. So if you fail, the mitigation aspect fail, adaptation aspect fail, now we come to loss and damage. This is the last resort. That's the last resort of this condition. And now every country is now talk about the loss and damage, because there are a number of areas that already there is no turning back. We have to lose or damage. Example is one in the Pekalongan. For me, it's already loss and damage. Yeah, there is no adaptation. That adaptation is not working in that situation, so you have to conduct the loss and damage part, the scenario of loss and damage. And they are not new pillar for me. They are interconnected. They are one sample how to deal with climate change. Yeah. Yeah, in Indonesian position, yeah, I know this loss and damage is new term. We just introduced it like 5-6 years ago, and we discussed, if I'm not mistaken, we discussed this loss and damage because we see that the mitigation, we already conduct the mitigation part. It does not get a good result. We conducted along with adaptation part. It's not yet. So conduct the loss and damage. That's the one in people in Pekalongan. They have to move from their house because their house is already under the seawater, and there is no option for that. There is no more adaptation program that we can use for that one. It is time for them to move from their own lane to the different part. Nah, we conduct the strategies of loss and damage. Itu barangkali Pak that I can answer. I hope that we can discuss it later, yeah, in more detail part. And thank you for your questions. And masih ada? Oh, yeah, sorry. So as I mentioned before, that we can conduct it 3 days. So it is it's depend on you. If you have any questions, yeah, feel free to have a question. Boleh. Baru jam 4 juga.
Okay, maybe 2-3 questions. Okay, 1, 2. Economics. Okay. Oh, Pak Siro, of course. So we have 4, Pak. So we can start from the ladies. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for this insightful presentation. So this topic is very much relevant to my thesis, as I'm doing assessing the impact of environmental policies on the economic and green growth of Indonesia. So as we can see that Indonesia's economy is heavily reliant on coal and for other fossil fuels, especially coal, and also simultaneously it is designing climate targets like net zero by 2050 and all. So my question is that I'm taking the indicator for environmental policies, it's from OECD, it's an index. So while I have the data findings, so I'm kind of looking for the specific environmental policies that Indonesia is implementing or have implemented, or is just the framework. Like for instance, if we look at the carbon pricing policies, the framework is there for maybe more than a decade, but it's not implementing yet, carbon pricing. And also, I want to ask for the market-based or non-market-based or any other technology-based climate policies that I want to look for it. Is there that effectively growing the Indonesia's green economy, or is just the framework? It's not working really. So I'm looking for the specific climate policies that it's implementing right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pa, for that wonderful presentation. So basically you discuss mainly 3 things. That is the realities of climate change now, the impact around the globe, and you talked about the need for mitigation as well as the need for adaptation. So I wanted to understand what you think about policy synergy when it comes to climate change adaptation, because almost every sector is important in adaptation. Your slide shows that agriculture, health, and energy and other sectors are key players when it comes to climate change adaptation. So my thesis is also looking at policy coherence in climate-related health risk management. I am basically looking at 3 key players for climate-related health risk management. That is Disaster Management Agency, climate change, and health sector. But then the findings so far are very interesting. It's like these are sectors that are not reinforcing each other, because when it comes to policy synergies, the policies need to reinforce each other. So, but that is not existent. So I wanted to understand when it comes to climate change adaptation, we know there will be institutions that will be mainly for climate change policies, and there will be disaster management institutions as well as agriculture and other institutions. So adaptation, basically, these sectors needs to reinforce each other. They need to align to make sure that at least there is reduction in conflict between policy objectives. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Irwan. My name is Ananta Nasution. Actually, I'm a PhD student for economic. Actually, this topic is not related to exactly my dissertation, but I think this is also one of the common topic right now. But I just want to ask you some sort of question actually, because right now we are in the middle of geopolitics with ungood condition. For example, like there are many wars everywhere, and if you are pursuing like asking people to care about the climate change, but the other side, the people are in the war. I mean, some of the people are concerning to preserve this climate change, but some of them are the one that who make the damage actually. I mean, in terms of economic, for example, Indonesian give many, many subsidies for electricity car and many subsidies for global warming program. But in the other side, we are like right now in economic condition, we are not in the good condition. How do you think about this situation? Does this policy for climate change still relevant in this time that we are not in the good condition? I mean, it's the best time to think about, maybe think about the military thing, to think about the economic thing, and how do you think about that? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak Irawan, for your very insightful presentation that covers Indonesia's policies on climate change. My question is actually exactly similar to the second question, especially as you said, there is no single indicator for adaptation. So if, let's say, if we are from campus, we would like to provide government with analysis, with new information, with new evidence, so which element of adaptation that actually government is badly needed by the government right now. But let me extend the question a little bit further by looking at the fact that from local government perspective, we are not homogeneous, we are heterogeneous. And the need for adaptation may vary across district or cities. As indicated by Zidan, indeed in their RPJMD, they have huge variation in terms of the attentions. But without single indicator, we don't know whether actually what they said is addressing their problem appropriately. That's number one question, right? Maybe the problem is A, but maybe the way they address is not A, for example. How to address such question is the first question. The next is, for the central governments, given the fact that local governments are heterogeneous, the problems are heterogeneous, how did the central government right now facilitate the local governments to achieve the adaptation goals? Thank you, Pak.
Okay. Nice discussion. It should be, we conduct this like a round table discussion for this one, Pak. Yeah, you have to organize a more detailed discussion. Otherwise, I have to scratch out my hair to answer the question. First of all, the economic dependent on Indonesian dependent on coal and palm oil. Yeah. So yeah. Discuss about this energy regime for developing countries is very, how do you call it, delicate issues? Because this is one of the countries that large exporter for coal. I think second from Australia. Australia is the first, and Indonesia is the second. Have you ever been in Kalimantan, Bu? No? You have to visit Mahakam River. And you can see floating mountain of coal in the river. Yeah. And this is the source income of Borneo. Yeah. And, yeah. The fossil, especially the coal one, is one of the energy that, although it's dirty, we call it, but it's efficient one. If you compare it with other sources, it's cheap, abundant, and efficient. It is easy to dig or to mining compared to like a nickel. If you were to mining the nickel or gold, is quite hard compared to coal. Kan cuma dicangkul aja Pak, dicangkul bisa dijual kalau coal itu. Ya. Kalau yang lain kan dia butuh ekstraksi, dia butuh proses. Nah, coal itu coal is one of the main sources of Indonesian energy since early days until now. And most of our power plant generated by coal or fossil fuel and something like that. There is a scenario or there is a projection that we not call it phase down from the coal using renewable energy. But we cannot shift it directly. You cannot shift it directly, otherwise the economy will be collapsed because we don't have any source of energy. So that's why, if you look out, read the apa namanya, Rencana Umum Energi Nasional (RUEN), National Energy Plan. You understand more than National Energy Plan or Rencana Umum Ketenagalistrikan Nasional. You can see Indonesian strategy to pass down from the coal. Based on our calculation, that energy will be still the emission from energy is still increased until 2035 or 2037. And after that, they will slightly going down until we achieve the net zero emission. People from Ministry of Mineral Resources that conducting this one, they have like decarbonization part. If you talk about people from PLN, yeah, they have decarbonization part. They understand that we need to shift from coal to or fossil fuel to another alternative energy. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But again, you cannot shift it directly. You have to bit by bit, yeah, because this process is going to be a long process, and most of our power plant is still generated by. Yeah. Now it is if we compare it like 10 years ago with now, there are more energy, renewable energy than the fossil fuel one. I suggest you read or explore the National Energy Plan. So you will have a number of references for that activities. Yeah. The second question on the policy scenario on adaptation. We have a document we call it National Adaptation Plan that explain how Indonesia, yeah, deal with these adaptation activities in Indonesia. Yeah. And it's just launched tahun lalu? Yeah, last year. I will share the document with you. Bisa nggak di-share itu, Mas? Yeah, share ya. So I will ask my colleagues to share it with you the document, so you can have a reference on Indonesian strategy on National Adaptation Plan. How do you call that? I was a director of adaptation in Clem. I was served as director of adaptation last year before move to director of mitigation, and now move again to director of mobilization. So I little bit understand this the contents, and then if you Indonesia, our policy is quite aggressive to tackle that one, because for Indonesia, in my perspective, it's Indonesia my perspective, that the last resort before loss and damage is adaptation, Pak. Because there are more people, 282 million people in Indonesia, and they have to adapt with the climate change. And practically, we conduct this adaptation part long before the Indonesia berdiri, apa namanya, merdeka. So we have a number of local wisdom how to conduct, how to adapt with the climate change. When I was a kid, my house is a apa namanya, rumah panggung, stage house, something like that, because we're living nearby the river. But my house nearby the river. So in order to adapt with the flooding, so we have to erect the houses, standing house. I have no term in English. That we have to. There is a pole. There is a pole under my house, in order to prevent from the flooding. That's how our grandfathers deal with this type of condition. Or we build a house with a very large window, because we are in tropic, humid and hot, isn't it? Right now, everybody uses the air condition for that, this mitigation part. But previously, we have just built a house with a very large window, because this is how we adapt with this condition. Itu barangkali, Pak. So Indonesia, there is a specific directorate in environment ministries that dealing with this adaptation. So we are prioritize that adaptation scenario for that. I will share you the documents and adaptation plan, so you can have more reference to develop your thesis. Yang ketiga, Pak Ananta. It's not face-to-face between war and climate change, because there's a different, in my perspective, Pak, there's a different arena, Although there is a war in Middle East, right now, in Hormuz and etc. But the impact of climate change right into your door every day, as I mentioned before, just last early this year, the tropical cyclone of Senyar. Kita tidak punya cyclone tropis di Indonesia, Pak, kecuali Seroja di NTT. Satu kali kita tapi kita tidak pernah memiliki dikena cyclone. Sorry, I speak in bahasa. We never hit by tropical cyclone, and now it's happened. Claims life 1,300 people, the casualties. Itu yang terhitung, belum yang lain. Infrastructures, there are more than 80 million infrastructures. There are more than 100 bridges collapsed because of this torrential rain. And now it's going to be, as Pak Sirajuddin said before that, the climate change increase the intensity, severity, and frequency of this kind of hydrometeorological disasters. Itu barangkali, Pak. So, people talk about war. Yes, it's important now. There's increasing price of fossil gas, fuels, but we have to also also have to face the impact of climate change. Otherwise, I don't have any apa namanya, Pak. We have to face it in my perspective. Sirajuddin, how that central government dealing with this heterogeneous of local government? is $1 million questions, Pak. It's very hard to answer. That's why there are a number of programs and there are ministries dealing with that. Yeah, it is not only Ministry of Environment, Pak. There is a Bappenas, Kementerian Desa, ya, Kementerian Dalam Negeri, karena mereka yang punya uang, ya, Kementerian PUPR, all of them dealing with this, how to connect it between the RPJMN, translate it to RPJMD, and all of the district have their own perspective, have their own programs that are related to and support the RPJMN, national planning, national plan, long-term national plan. Yeah, and then that's why that's how I understand this the idea, because I understand, but there is no silver bullet, or there is no one point that fits all. It really depends on the Indonesia national circumstances or local circumstances. But as a central government, we provide with them the norm, rules, regulation, policies, and strategy. But the detail of strategies depend on the context of the contents, depend on the condition of the district. Itu barangkali, Pak. Dan kalau kita melihat tentang bagaimana indikator itu coba dicapai, ya, as I mentioned before, Pak Sirut, bahwa I was involved with the number of scientists dealing how to reduce the indicators, or how to have the common indicators for adaptations. Yeah. A year ago, there are more than 4,000 indicators. Last year in COPA, we already agreed like 56 indicators. Berapa? 56 Mas ya? GGA. Yeah, 56 indicators. Now we would like to compress it again until 30 or 40 indicators. We cannot achieve like only 5 or 6, because different countries, they have their own specific indicators that they would like to become implemented. For example, countries like Pakistan, or the high level, Pakistan, that they have 6 out of 8 highest mountains in the world. Yeah, more than 8,000 meters. Kazakhstan, Peru, they are dealing with cryosphere. Cryosphere is area with snow-capped, gunung-gunung yang tertutup es. They will have different indicators with us, that people that living in the tropical area. Although we have one mountains, they have snow caps, Jaya Wijaya. Yeah, they invite us to discuss, Pak. They invite us to discuss, because Tanzania also, they have the Kilimanjaro have the snow caps. They invite us to discuss the indicator for the how do you call it, Highlander countries, the countries that have, Jadi they have a different. Yeah, for them, this is the most important one. How to deal with the people that living in this high level area, and how they adapt with the climate change. For people in the Pacific region, the small island developing states, they not really understand the idea of cryospheres. They understand about the coral bleaching, the one that impacted by the coral reefs. They invite us, because Indonesia have the more to discuss that one. Yeah, as a archipelagic state, we discussed how to develop indicators for our fishermen, or for our people in the coastal area. So that's the complexity of this one. But bear in mind that in my opinion that we will come up with the common indicators. It is similar with when we process the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. It's similar, Pak. Before there are more than 10,000 indicators for SDGs because everybody would like every sectors. 16 they would like to because every indicators are important. Yeah, and now we have almost 112 indicators for the SDGs, and it's work. We can measure it globally. It's the same similar with our approaches to, we call it Global Goal Indicator for Adaptation, GGA. I hope that we will achieve the decision in the next scope that this the indicator for the adaptation, so we can every countries can speak each other with the same language. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Yeah, the mitigation is already. We have already mitigation. Yeah, we done with that. We have a similar. We have a same perspective on each sectors, and now we would like to finalize with the adaptation. And after that, we're dealing with loss and damage. So bit by bit, we conduct this one because yes, no, it is complicated issues, and yeah, I know it's hard to work with, but we have to. In my case, we have to. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Itu barangkali, Pak. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you so much for the engaging questions and thoughtful questions, everyone. Now we will proceed to as a token of appreciation, and as a token of appreciation, we would like to invite Bapak Sirajuddin Arif to present a token of appreciation to our distinguished speaker, Bapak Irawan Asaad. Please come forward. Okay, again. Okay, give a round of applause to Bapak Sirajuddin and Pak Mr. Irawan Asaad. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to an end of today's public lecture. On behalf of the committee, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Bapak Irawan Asaad, Bapak Sirajuddin Arif, Bapak Zidan, and all the participants for joining us today. And we hope this discussion provides meaningful insight into climate policy and Indonesia's journey towards net zero emission. And finally, we invite all speakers and participants for a group photo sessions in the front. Thank you once again for your participations. I close the session. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Boleh.